Today we're talking about identity and outcome and the difference between the two. And it's funny because I don't know about you, but I feel like for me, identity and outcome are pretty much the same thing. It's like if you're trying to become a successful business person, right? And you fail at that, well, then your identity is as a failing business person. Like, yeah, you can sugarcoat that however you want, but I think they're pretty tied together.
In some sense, you're right. In some sense, they are tied together. But if we go deeper than that, we start to see that everything has a foundation to it. Everything has a starting point. And I think in this discussion, your identity is the starting point. Who are you? Are you a son? Or are you a daughter? And hold on, I know what you're gonna say before you say it. You're gonna say, man, I don't even know who my dad is. You're gonna say, man, my parents hated me. This is not a good topic. And I already have an answer for you. And that is, even if you don't even know who your parents are, even if you think they hate you, still, that relationship, that foundation is fundamental, is the most important thing for you to understand first before you look at the results of your actions. So you have to understand that to be in this earth, everybody has parents, otherwise you couldn't be born. And to be on this earth, we're the product of the Creator. God is basically the number one parent. So to understand who you are in relationship to Him and who you are in relationship to them is the most important thing. And all of that comes before your actions, before you fail or before you succeed. Does that make sense?
So it makes sense, but like, again, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, if you ask me, if someone says like, oh, like I don't know, who are you is like, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, it's what do I do is like kind of who I am. And like, yes, I know that I'm a child of God. I know that I'm a son. I know that I'm a brother. I know that I'm a friend. Yes, I know all these things. But like, even though these are some of the most important and deep things to me, they're not what I think about when I think about who I am. Like, I think about what I'm trying to accomplish. And again, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, whatever it is, like, I will be building a business, I will be trading, I will be recording, whatever it is. And like, if that doesn't go well, then I'm like, yeah, I am failing. And therefore I am a failure. Like, it's hard to separate those two, even though, yes, I understand that there is a beginning and that there's more to it than that. You don't always walk into every room in your life being like, I'm brother. Like, there's some of your identity that jumps off the page more. And because I spend most of my time thinking about, I feel like trying to succeed, trying to go somewhere, trying to become something, like, that's the aspect of my identity that I'm usually thinking about. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does make sense. The things we do, obviously, sort of in a secondary way affect who we are. But again, the best way to understand is if you yourself could imagine, if you could be a parent of a plant or a puppy, of something, then you would understand, just because, if you're a parent of a puppy, just because the puppy messes up the living room, you don't kill the puppy or throw out the puppy or call it worthless just because it hasn't gotten it right yet. The same thing, if a plant takes longer than you thought to grow, you don't just throw it on the floor and smash it and destroy it because, it's taking a little bit too long. The object is more important, basically, than the action that it takes. Well, go ahead.
Are you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to close that out. So it's the same relationship with us, that who we are is more important than our actions. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm saying like, but there's also something else to consider. Like, again, I don't know what you do or who you are, but for me, it's like, what is the differentiator, right? If we're all sons, then why would I say that when I tell you who I am? Because that doesn't tell you anything new about me. So the parts of my identity that I take the most pride in are the parts of my identity that separate me from you, right? Like, that's the thing that I feel like I get wrapped up in for the most part. So it's like, yeah, I'm a child of God, yes. So are you, but we're all children of God, so why do we even need to say that? Like, you don't walk into a room and someone goes, who are you? And you go, citizen of the United States of America. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just no point in saying something that we all share, at least to me. So you go, oh, I'm a business owner. You go, oh, I'm an artist. You go, oh, I'm a performer. I'm an athlete. You give the part of your identity that differentiates you from other people. Is that not natural?
That's correct. When there are other people around, when you can compare yourself to other people, but before there are other people around, you're born by yourself. You are born as an individual. We're not born in towns. We're not born in villages or cities. We're born as individual people. So this is the thing we have to understand before we understand anything else, you know, as far as our relationship to other human beings. So, and the thing is, if you don't get the foundation of this right, you won't be able to correct the other problems that you have later on in life. So it's so important to have your foundation correct. It's just like a building. If your building is built on a poor foundation, then it doesn't matter how tall you make it, how beautiful you make it, it's just gonna fall. And there's nothing you can do about that if you haven't first gone in and made sure that your foundation is good and correct. And that's really what we're talking about. Getting your foundation straight before we talk about your relationship to other people.
An interesting one, just as I think about like this in my own life, and like I challenge you to think about something in your own life that like resonates with you, but like a time where you feel like your identity was tied to the outcome. And I feel like an easy one for me would be trading. Like, so I do a lot of things. I own a few different companies. We now have 2 podcasts, which is insane. But one of the things that I've always done is, not always, but for the past 4 years now, is trading. I love it. I'm in love with the markets. I'm so fascinated with the way that they move. And I genuinely love it. And so I've been doing it for multiple years. It's changed the way I look at life. It's benefited my career exponentially. Not just trading P&L, but like the way that it's changed the way that I look at the world has been just like a huge shift. I would never, change it.
P&L, what's that?
Yeah, so just the profit and loss. Like, okay. Aside from the profits I've made from trading, like the way that it's changed my outlook on the world has been transformational. And as a trader, like there's 2 different kinds, right? I don't want to talk too much about this, but there's pretty much like day trading, scalp trading, and then swing trading. I made a lot of money at swing trading. I've done really, really well. I've not made so much money day trading. Like I've been trying to get better at it, but I feel like it's been hard. And luckily, I've been so much more successful swing trading that it's carried my entire career.
Yeah.
But the point is, when I'm day trading, I will often have, let's say a red day. And it's so hard to not walk away from that and be like, clearly I'm not cut out for this. Clearly, like, I'm not good at this. Clearly, what I think about the world and what I think about the markets, like, isn't playing out. And maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should stick with swing trading. That kind of thing. And if you notice what I just said, I didn't even notice it. But now that I'm talking about it, I keep saying I'm. Like,
yeah.
All my statements started with me. I am. Like, outcome, bad trading day, identity, me. Like, they're just tied together. And I just think that that's pretty interesting, like, as I talk about that. I'm sure you have those experiences, whether it's something going wrong at work, whether it's something going wrong at school, something that you failed in your relationships. Like, you just tie that to your identity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's correct for a lot of people. I mean, I think it's true in a lot of people's lives. But the issue that you begin to have, everything's fine as long as you're winning trades. Everything's fine as long as you're making money. You're succeeding. That's not when the issue comes in. The issue comes in when you start losing money and there's a long stretch and you haven't been successful. That's when there could be a problem. There was a time in our history in America where people lost money in the market, and a lot of them they just killed themselves because they lost money. They didn't understand the difference between outcome and identity. There's a line in an old song that says, I'd rather be rich than be alive at all. And it points to the fact that, people make this mistake. You make this mistake in your mind and it's not obvious to you. But if you were to say it, it would be obvious to everybody. Hey, that's not the way that it should be. You shouldn't want to be rich than to be alive at all, because obviously, being alive is more important than having money if you say that out loud. But, when you're going through the process and you're feeling worthless and you've lost and you keep losing, essentially that's what you begin to believe. You can get to that point. So it's important that you understand this in the beginning before you do, all of those things. Understand that it's more important to be alive than it is to be rich. It's more important who you are than what you produce. And if you can get that straight, you'll make it through. It may take you a while, and you might have a lot of failures, but you will, in the end, make it through.
And I don't know why that makes me think, but it's like, if you lose the negative side, right, then you also lose the positive side. And it's like, okay, I can understand how it might be a good thing to say, I had a negative outcome, maybe I'm not a failure. But then what about when I have a positive outcome? Like, so much of my life, I imagine you're in the same position, so much of my life, like, you are recognized when you succeed. You're loved when you succeed, you're respected when you succeed. And like, you almost want that. You almost want, outcomes are something that to some extent we've learned that we can control, right? Whether that's in school, whether that's in our job, like, there is something that we can do to get love. There is something that we can do to get respect. And so as I think about it, it's not just the negative side. I actually, in some ways, want my outcome to be tied to my identity. And maybe that's more dangerous than I give it credit for.
Yeah. I suppose that it can also be dangerous. We can either go too much on the winning side or too much on the losing side. Either way is out of balance. So it's important for us to maintain our balance in life and again, understand the foundation of what we're building for. We're here to be alive. We're here to have a life. We're here to enjoy the things of earth. So for us to sort of major too much on the fact that, we've lost too much, or to major too much on the fact that, we're successful and therefore, at least the thoughts of we're better than everybody else. We think of ourselves more than we should be thinking of ourselves. And that's not good, because we understand pride comes before a fall when you go too much on that side. So it's a lesson you learn one way or the other. If you get to the point where you just think you're too great, you're gonna get to the point where you fail, where you fall, where you're not successful, and you're gonna be humbled. So, and the way to avoid that is just to understand our identity, that we're placed here for a purpose and a reason, and we just need to make sure we don't get off track with our successes.
And so, as you say that, like, it brings up, it brings to mind a question like, what is a moment in your life? Because I've heard a lot of stories, Dave heard no stories. But what is a moment in your life where you had identity tied to outcome and it either worked out or didn't work out, and what that taught you?
I get how it could be confusing especially in the beginning, when you're beginning, just starting to understand these things. I remember when I was a kid and sixth grade when I was held back, sixth grade, 6 years old, and I was held back in first grade, um, and that was painful to me. That was difficult to me because all my friends were going on to second grade, but I couldn't go on to second grade. So the outcome of my performance, in class definitely was tied into who I thought I was. And, I had to learn the difference. I had to understand. I had to understand that those two things were separate. And I didn't immediately know that. It took time for me to be able to separate myself from my outcome. But once I did understand that I was there to study and not just to play around and have fun, that my purpose and who I was and my identity was a student, a successful student. Once I grabbed that and accepted that, the failure, they couldn't hold me back. Because the failure was just a one-time event, and I had another opportunity because I was not, that failure. I was the foundation, which was the student. So I continued as a student, lose, win, or draw. I continued as a student until I overcame. So the same process is gonna will work for all of you. If you understand you are not your failures, you are not, what life teaches you or what life doesn't teach you. You are who you were born to be, who you were created to be. And once you understand that, there's no failure you can have in your life that can destroy you. Nothing. It may hurt, it may take longer, but it will not destroy you. You will always make it through because of who you are.
Going from being held back in school to then being a professor, that's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah. I learned early that these things all work the same way as far as being successful in life. If you just put your head down, study, focus on what you have to learn, and practice it, not until you get it right, but practice it till you can't get it wrong. All of schooling, all of homework, the majority of things in life you're going to do will be based on that principle. And once you learn that, you will be successful. You will win. And I learned that, and that's how I was able to achieve more than I thought I would achieve.
It's funny, I was like, think of a time when your identity was tied to your outcome. And of course, she's like, oh yeah, 6 years old. Meanwhile, like, here I am, 30 years old. Like, they're still tied together. But, hey man, hopefully this video helps me. And hopefully this video helps you. But before we wrap, I just want to say, like, one thing you can do to practice this, and tell me how this feels to you, but like, I feel like you can start by naming the negative identity. So, whatever it is that you think you're feeling, try to name it, right? So like if it's a trading loss, you could be like, I lost my trade, therefore I am a loser, right? Like you could try to think through what that negative thought is, and then it's really easy to be like, wait a minute, that's the most absurd thing I've ever thought. Like, I may have lost a trade, but I'm not a loser. You know what I mean? Like, and you can fix like where you see it going wrong. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like that could be something interesting.
It does make sense until the failure is so bad that you do identify with it.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad boyfriend, but I really feel like one.
Yeah.
I really think I am.
Yeah. So maybe just repeating to yourself that you're not. I don't know. I don't know what a good practical thing you should do here is.
You want to affirm the fact that you were created. That you were created for this life. You were created to enjoy this life, to experience this life, to be able to withstand failures and balance successes. Obviously, the world has had failure and negative in it, but the failure and negative hasn't destroyed the world. So the world was created in such a way to be able to withstand failure. And so you were created in such a way to be able to have failure and still go on to withstand it. So you were created to outlive failure or success, so that you could have the benefit of both.
But with that said, this was for you. I hope it helped. If it didn't, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I like just repeating to yourself, outcome is data, not my name.
Yeah.
Like the outcome is data that I can learn from, but it's not my name. It's not who I am. With that said, we'll see you next time.
Peace out.